Kurt from getting the engine going, he can possibly steal these games. Also noteworthy is he has access to Nibble Mongoose, which avoids Maze of Ith, which is one of Kurt's best defensive cards against creatures. And so certainly Kurt is happy with the pairing here, but Daryl Ayers here with Rug Delver has quite a few tools at his disposal.
Yeah, and Daryl Ayers, quite the seasoned pilot with Rug Delver. He actually placed in the most recent Legacy Grand Prix in Grand Prix Atlanta, he placed 3rd with Rug Delver, earning him a qualification for Pro Tour Valencia coming up in a month. Actually talked with him, asked him if it was his first Pro Tour. It is actually going to be his second. His previous Pro Tour was also qualified for off a Legacy Grand Prix finish, also with Rug Delver.
So no stranger to success with this.
No stranger to Rug Delver. On the play, yeah, certainly this is a place where he would like to be. The lands matchup, however, can be tough for him. Daryl's keeping. He's on. Daryl's keeping. He is on 6 cards. And we are seeing, I believe. Yeah, Daryl's supposed to be on the play here, so we're. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, yeah, I think we're ready to see what's going to go ahead and happen here. All right, Daryl is on the play. You see the hand he's kept has a lot of cards that are can be dead in the matchup. He has both Forked Bolt and Daze in his opener.
2 main deck Forked Bolts here for Daryl's list.
Yeah, and there's just so many cards in the main that can be real tough in the matchup. You know, like you said, Daze. Forked Bolt's probably really the one he doesn't want to see. He does have some options. Unlike the Bug Delver deck we saw last round, Daryl has access to Stifle. His curves are even lower. He has Nimble Mongoose in his deck. This, I would think, should be a decent... If he can get enough pressure, you know, he has a low enough curve to race lands here.
Yeah, it's definitely incumbent on him to get some early action going. That turns all the soft permissions into real cards.
All right, well, we see Misty Rainforest from Daryl, and just a tapped land is just 1 tap land from Kurt, so nothing yet. Daryl does not have a 1-drop creature. He does have a Tarmogoyf. He's going to go ahead and crack Misty Rainforest here for Tropical Island. And yeah, there was the Tranquil Thicket played for Kurt. We're going to seeing whether or not he's going to land that Goyf. Yeah, he plays Wasteland, and he gets Goyf down. Now he has his threat, and he'll pass back to Kurt.
So not a bad opening for Daryl on 6 cards, but it appears that Kurt has just picked up Loam. Not a lot going on now with it, but definitely a critical piece of the overall puzzle.
I was going to say, Kurt had right now, a hand that was very good at racing these lightning bolts. Daryl has a pair of bolts and Forked Bolt. He has 8 points of burn in his hand. However, Kurt this turn was able to play Exploration, waste land at Daryl's colored mana, and play another Tranquil Thicket. You see in his hand, he also has some more tools in Life from the Loam, as you said, and Maze of Ith.
So a really good setup now for Kurt, as he has Exploration plus Loam.
So it kind of reminds me from last match. He puts the die in front of Kurt. It is a Tarmo Squire right now. Just a 1-2, hits Kurt down to 19. And now Kurt will start to assemble the lock here. Daryl missed that land, and you can tell Kurt pretty happy with that. He's going to lay from the Loam just for the Wasteland. And he's going to try to leave Kurt with next to no permanence in play.
Yeah, this is a really tough fight for Daryl to win here, especially with Kurt having Maze of Ith in his hand. That shuts out the Tarmogoyf. Yes, Daryl does have a Wasteland of his own, but in the long term, he's not going to be able to fight over Loam that way.
Yeah, Kurt happy to 2-for-1 himself on lands just to get Daryl's final land. So yeah, you can see on Daryl's face, he's... And Daryl draws, Daryl misses the die, and Kurt sheepishly fixes it for Daryl here.
And there's been a lot of laughter and crowd around Kurt here as he's made his way through the elimination rounds.
Well, I think everyone likes to see a deck like lands do well. Even when you're a fan of the other guy, you know, you're glad to see this sort of strategy to possibly take down a tournament.
Daryl tests the waters with the Tarmogoyf. That
it will get mazed, and it untaps, and no lands. He drew another Tarmogoyf, and the turn will go back to Kurt.
And now, if Daryl was in trouble before, he's in a lot of trouble now.
Oh, wow. Yes, he is. We see, the good news is that normally, and in the past you'd expect, oh man, Kurt's going to win and it's going to take 30 minutes. He's not going to just beat down with 2-2s. He actually can assemble a combo very quickly. As you see here, there's Dark Depths in the yard, Thespian Stage in hand. Kurt should be winning pretty quickly here. And he plays Thespian Stage and another stage. He Life and Limbs back Wasteland, Dark Depths, and Taiga.
And unlike some other Delver decks that have a way to get out of Merit Lage, the Rogue Delver deck is just done for.
Yeah, and next turn, Kurt will be able to play 2 lands, so you'll have enough mana to go ahead and make Merit Lage that turn. And he represents a 2-turn clock to finish the game. And
So pretty easy start here for Kurt.
yeah, pretty easy game one. That Timer Rifle on Daryl's side is getting quite lonely here. Not even a land for it. And it'll jump in again and once again gets lost in Maze of Ith. Well, looks his hand, did not draw a land this turn. Contemplates and looks at his top card. Yes, did you just look at the top card?
This is obviously a pretty lighthearted match between these two. Technically, that's a pretty significant rules violation.
Yeah, I don't think he picks up his graveyard, puts that tropical island into play, just from the yard, and concedes. So game 1 goes to Kurt Spiess.
Pretty no fuss, no muss type of win there for Kurt in game 1. Daryl didn't really have any fast clock or any disruption, no way to break up loam, and that's as easy as it gets for lands.
All right.
Welcome back to the booth. Patrick Sullivan, Matthias Hunt, Star City Games Legacy Open here in Baltimore. Our finals underway between Kurt Spiess and Daryl Ayers. Kurt quickly up a game. Our last trivia question of the show. We've given it away
All right.
3 months and 6 months, and now we're going to be giving away a full year of Star City Games premium content. Next week, Born of the Gods pre-release. I expect everyone out there to be attending.
I'll be going to one.
Pre-releases are really fun. You should go. And because of this, and because Star City Games is hosting a pre-release of their own in Roanoke, the Open Series will be taking its first weekend off in 2014.
All right.
After that, we're going to have a show. It's going to be our first standard tournament and our
Yeah.
first legacy tournament with Born of the Gods. Name that location. So tweet at SCG Live, again, hashtag SCG Premium. One correct respondent will be chosen for a full year of Star City Games Premium.
It'll be your first week off for the year, I believe.
Yeah, I guess technically this coming weekend is my first weekend off, but since everyone has it off, it doesn't really count.
And besides, you still have to play a pre-release that weekend. You
Yeah,
know?
so I'll still be playing.
You have to play Magic
Still
again.
be playing some Magic, certainly. But yeah, that show will be the first time. I believe it's you and Osip in the booth.
Osip and I will be commentating it. But
Quite the odd
where
couple.
will it be? Yes.
So again, tweet your answer at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium. Make sure you're following us at SCG Live. That's the way that we can give you your prize. So moving on to the sideboard here, the real critical thing is how much does Daryl really have to bring in?
Well, I mean, a lot of his real weapons are actually in the main. He has, well, let's go through it. He has a Spell Snare. That's decent, and as we saw last match, Bug Delver was doing the 1-drop and then counter all the Life from the Loam's plan. Spell Snare's pretty good at doing that. Outside of that, well, I'll go through the other cards in his deck. He has Rough Tumble, Red Elemental Blast, Submerge, Ancient Grudge, Vendilion Click, Grafdigger's Cage, Flusterstorm, maybe Flusterstorm.
So he kind of has a Spell Snare and kind of has a Vendilion Click.
Yeah.
Spell Snare is definitely an upgrade over one of the soft permission spells because all he's fighting over is 2-mana spells. He's either trying to counter Loams or he's trying to counter Punishing Fires in certain spots.
Well, to be fair, he's got a lot of things to replace. I mean, would you rather have a Spell Pierce or a Forked Bolt? He's got a lot of cards which are not thrilling in the matchup. Forked Bolt, just 2 damage upstairs.
Yeah, it definitely cannot cut all of his inefficient cards in the matchup, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's going to have to play some low-impact cards. That's one of the things. Like I said, Lands has extreme matchups. The good matchups can be really good. It's bad matchups. We haven't seen those on camera today, but those ones can be similarly swinging in the other direction.
Going over to Kurt Spiess' sideboard for a moment, you can see most of his sideboard is devoted to being combo decks, which is where land struggles in the first game. 4 copies of Sphere of Resistance, 2 copies of Thorn of Amethyst, and a Chalice of the Void, dedicated anti-combo cards. I suspect we may actually see the Chalice of the Void come in. It's not necessarily for this matchup specifically, again, probably more for decks like Storm, but the Rug Delver deck is historically very susceptible to a Chalice on 1. It plays a bunch of cantrips, bolts, soft permission. A lot of his threats are 1 mana, so we might see that singleton come in. I also think that Kurt might bring in the Bojuka Bog here. The Rug Delver list really leans a lot on its graveyard. Both Tarmogoyf and Nimble Mongoose are predicated on having a pretty flush graveyard, and so that utility of the land may come in as well.
Yeah, but really a lot of this can be a repeat of game one, which doesn't bode particularly well for Daryl. This to me seems like more of an uphill climb than the Bug Delver matchup was.
Yep. You see Daryl with the pile here. Kurt was quick to cut and present.
And actually, I believe this is Kurt's deck he's pile shuffling.
Yes.
Yeah. Does it about halfway, then stops.
He was joking around there a little bit, but Daryl eventually comes to appreciate the time of others and decides to simply present and get underway.
All right. So Daryl once again on the play. We saw last time he mulliganed to 6 and did not have a 1-drop, so certainly a lot of things could have gone better here. He has plenty of disruption this game in Stifle and Daze. The question is, what kind of threat does he have? And we are underway. Keep by Daryl, keep by Kurt, 7s, and we're going. Daryl starts out on Scalding Tarn. Looks like he has a pair of Dazes and a Stifle.
Yeah, but again, the real important thing is for him to have a threat card to supplement all of this. He has a Tarmogoyf in his hand as well, so not a bad opening hand.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and not play anything there. We see a lot of the non-mana producers in Kurt's hand. He has both Dark Depths and Tabernacle. He's going to go Grove, then Mox Diamond.
And he has an Exploration and a Loam, so just a completely loaded 7 from Kurt.
Well, and this is excellent. He's playing around Spell Pierce at every juncture right now.
Yeah.
Or sorry, against Daze at every juncture. Not Spell Pierce, but he's...
Yeah, and you saw that this is really good operations from Kurt. You saw him in one of the games lead with a Mox Diamond before playing land in a spot where he wanted his Mox Diamond to get dazed, and now you're seeing it the other way, where he wants that Mox Diamond to resolve and therefore plays a land first.
Yeah, and now we're going to see a Stifle come out. He goes for a fetch land, and Daryl in response fetches, stifles the Wooded Foothills, and that will be it for the first turn from Kurt. So back in Daryl's camp, we see just so much permission here. He has 2 Dazes and a Spell Pierce. And he has a game plan right now. It's going to be, he plays a turn 2 Tarmogoyf, cracks a fetch land for it, and now he's going to hide behind counter spells and hope that this Tarmogoyf can go the whole distance. And Loam is the play here for Kurt. Seems like that is a very Daze-worthy card. And indeed, it will be dazed.
And Kurt has drawn the Bojuka Bog here, which is really nice for him. It's another mana-producing land, and it also nukes Daryl's graveyard.
Yep, and he plays Bojuka Bog, nuke the graveyard, and he plays Tabernacle. That means Daryl has to, on upkeep, tap his Volcanic Island to pay for Tarmogoyf.
So you're already seeing some of the constriction set in. It's a really good opening for Daryl. He still has quite a few counters to work with here, but his mana is starting to get taxed, and Loam is up and running.
All right, well, Tarmogoyf is able to swing in. It's only a 2-3 right now.
And he just doesn't want any more of this.
All right, and that is it. Kurt Spiess wins 2-0 over Daryl Ayers. You may think not really a premature scoop there.
That writing was on the wall. I mean, it does look like an early concession. Maybe there's, some fraction of a percentage chance that Daryl's able to win that game, but the writing's on the wall, and why sit there for another 15 minutes getting slowly